Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of College Hockey Talk. On today's podcast, I'm joined by a very special guest. Senior of the Minnetonka girls hockey team, Olivia LaRoche, joins the show. Olivia recently just committed to Sacred Heart University, where she'll be playing college hockey in the 2022-23 season. Welcome to the podcast, Olivia, and how's everything going?
Hi. Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's great, just getting ready for this upcoming season. Super excited to be playing one more year wearing the M. So
That's awesome to hear. And how's your off season going so far? And have you done anything interesting, whether it's hockey related or non-hockey related?
yeah, off season's been great. It's been more busy this summer, because it's been a little bit later with COVID. We had STP starting, which is our summer training program through our high school, and then I train a couple days during the week in the mornings with privates over at Minnesota Made, and then we get a couple of scrimmage weekends in during the season with our Minnetonka team, which is fun, getting the girls back together and playing some games. And then I got the opportunity to play at the 16-17 national camp this summer, which was an amazing opportunity, and just learned so much from all those coaches and players that played at national camp. And then, oh gosh, Beantown. I went to Beantown, played out east, and that's when I visited Sacred Heart and decided to play college hockey there. Um, and then other things, I spent a lot of time on the lake. We have Lake Minnetonka here, so that's the huge thing that us high schoolers like to do. And then I also volunteer at Trout Lake camps for 2 weeks in August, and that's a church camp, a Christian camp that I volunteer at. I'm a leader in training, which is something I'm very passionate about and that I love doing. So it's been fun.
Seems like a very busy summer. That's a lot of things.
Very, yeah, very busy.
How was Boston? I'm curious. I'm from Boston, so I don't know if you've ever been there before, but what'd you think about the city?
Yeah, no, I love Boston. I've been there, I think, 3 or 4 times now, and I have a really good friend that lives out there now. But I love it, and I'm going to be so close, so
Hmm.
it's fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, because this year with the COVID restrictions being a little looser than last year, it must have been fun to explore the city a little bit more than maybe previous
Yeah,
times you might have been there.
yeah,
Now,
for
what is the
sure.
Beantown tournament? I'm curious because I've just heard about it this year. Is that like where all the top prospects go to play and like get noticed by college scouts?
Yeah, it's for sure a big one. There's, the OS Prospect Futures Weekends that is here in Minnesota, but out east, their big one is Beantown, and I've gone there for the past, I think, 3 years now. And yeah, it's a huge scouting tournament. And last year there weren't any scouts allowed at the tournament because of COVID restrictions and the NCAA not allowing coaches to watch in person. But yeah, it was big, and then it was right after national camp, so I got to see all of my teammates from out east and from everywhere, and I got to see them again, which was super fun. And it's just, yeah, I think it's a really big scouting tournament, for
Mhm.
the girls out east, and just to get seen by the eastern schools rather than the ones around here in the WCAJ. So
Now, what rink do you guys play at? Do you play at the one in Marlboro? I know that's kind of far away from Boston, or is there one in the city that
yeah,
you play at?
yeah, it's a Marlboro, if I said that right.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think it's called the New England Sports Center.
Mhm.
I think that's the name of it, but I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, no, that's where the Providence Bruins played this past year. So I've played there a few times before. So I was just curious where it's held because I've heard it's held in Warrior, and then I've also heard it's held at Marlboro. So just was curious about that.
Yeah.
Now, like you kind of mentioned, COVID restrictions are a little bit more looser than last off season. So my question to you is, with things opening back up at a slower pace, has that changed your approach at all during this off season?
I would say yes and no. I think that for sure it's helped having everything open back up because we get to all train together. We're not in separate groups, like the USA camps and the HP camps was back, and that's been for sure something that was missed last year. But at the same time, I was on the ice last summer too, and I was working just as hard. I just think it was a little bit easier to get access to things this year. So.
Now, overall, how's training going, and what are you working on regarding your game for this upcoming season?
Yeah, this summer as the training's been really good. I think that overall over my past 2 years that I've grown as a player tremendously. I think that one of the big things I was focusing on this summer was just to get faster and stronger. And I know that's super broad, but it just like increasing my speed and just being able to get up the ice and have the stamina to play like at the high school level. It's a big jump for younger girls, and even me being a senior, like it's a fast paced game, and just increasing my speed was a huge thing that I wanted to improve on, and then getting stronger. I love to get that 85-mile-per-hour slap shot off from the point.
Mhm.
Hopefully I'll get there, but yeah, that's been huge.
What's been the fastest shot you've had so far this summer?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I don't measure it, but I know one of my teammates, Rory Gilday, she last summer, the summer before, I think she clocked in at 80
Oh,
or
wow.
85, somewhere on that. It was insane.
I think the fastest shot that I ever had was like 65, 70 miles per hour. So because the training that I did when I was playing was like they really cared about how hard your shot was because they
Yeah.
thought it was very important. So I was just curious what your training was like regarding that.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I want to say it's maybe around 75, maybe 70, or yeah, 70, 75, maybe.
That's super fast though when you think about it because that's like a car going down the highway.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty fast. If I just think that's pretty cool. And if you get up to 80, then goalies in the Minnesota should watch out because I don't think they're stopping that.
Yeah. Maybe.
Now, is that the area of your game you think you need to improve on the most heading into next season, or is it something else that you might have not mentioned?
Yeah, I think that just like moving along the point is something I can always improve on. Like I like getting shots blocked from the point is something I hate personally. It's just it's it's something that's preventable that I just gotta get my eyes up and keep shooting and just shooting hard. I feel like I do shoot pretty hard, but I want to shoot harder, and that's just something that I'm determined to do. And in the defensive zone, like just getting my toes up ice and getting my feet moving, it's so much. It's crazy how like once I wheel the net and get my feet up ice, how much more like options and things I can do, because then I can either skate it or pass it. When I'm flat footed, like
Mhm.
there's no way of making good play. So
Now, let's start off talking about the beginning of your hockey career and work all the way up to where you are now with Minnetonka. So, you're from Minnesota. What's it like growing up there, and how'd you start playing hockey?
yeah, Minnesota, we're the state of hockey, and it's just hockey, hockey, hockey here. I mean, in my family too, I have two siblings, and they both play hockey, but my dad put me in skates when I could walk, and believe it or not, I hated it at first. And I did. I hated the gear. I hated the cold, everything. And then I didn't start playing again until I think I was 6 or 7. And then I just fell in love. And my dad's a hockey coach, so it's been in my family forever. And it's something that I couldn't not do. So yeah, I just fell in love with the game and just being so much more passionate about it at a younger age. Um, but yeah, just in Minnesota, it's a different feeling. I have friends out east that they grow up and they don't have the hockey atmosphere where like at schools in high schools in Minnesota, it's down south you see it's like football their main sport or whatever, but like in Minnesota, like one of our biggest sports is hockey, and it's crazy to me because other people don't have that. So
Yeah, no, it's crazy because like you said, down south football is like the big sport and they have a great
yeah.
football like I guess community. Minnesota, it's hockey for that, which is I think is really cool. And it's kind of weird because in New England, I feel like there's not one sport that's like the big thing. It's kind of like everything. So there's not really like a big sports community like other places in the US. So I think it's
Mhm.
cool though. Hockey's my favorite sport, so I'm kind of a little jealous that you guys get to have that as your big sport.
Yeah, I think that you know the biggest difference is that that in the prep schools, that's huge out east. Like again, I have a lot of friends out there that go to prep schools and do all this. Like they're not playing for their high school, and I think that's so cool that high school hockey is so huge in Minnesota that we get to play with the girls we go to school with. Where out east, they have their prep teams, they have their club teams. Like there's so many different teams, and they have to go board a school board at a school in order to just be looked at by college coaches, and that's crazy to me.
Yeah, and is it cool getting to grow up with the same people that you're playing with now as a senior?
Yeah, it's awesome. And I played at Minnesota Made actually growing up. I played there for about 6 or 7 years. So I played with the boys, which was also super fun. But I didn't start playing at Minnetonka until 8th grade. But that's still 5 years of my life, and I've just gotten to know these girls over the past 5 years, and it's fun. And I get to go to school with them. I have class with them. I just know them that much better. So it helps in the locker room for sure.
You think that's going to be the biggest transition or one of the biggest transitions for yourself heading into college because you're going to have a lot new teammates for the
Mm.
first time in quite some time?
Yeah, I think so. Isla Rice Camp is one. She's from Orono. She's committed there now too, and we're in the same class. And she's the only one that I really know in my incoming class. And there's still a couple Minnesotans on the team that I know, but I'm not like super close with yet. But yeah, I feel like it'll definitely be a change, especially because we're coming from like all over the place, and
Mhm.
we've grown up differently, and we have different styles of hockey. But I feel like that's also like such a positive thing too, just going into a new environment. And I'm so excited for it.
Now, who was your favorite player growing up? Was it someone in the NHL or was it a female hockey player on the national team?
I've gosh. Ryan Suter is someone I've always loved. I don't know why. I just think like just the style of defense he plays, he's just so calm and so poised with the puck. And he doesn't get a lot of recognition, on social media and all that. But like, yeah, he was, I have like 5 t-shirts of his. So
Are you upset that he's going to Dallas for this upcoming year?
yes and no. I think it was kind of needed only because, we're the Wild are trying to win a Stanley Cup, and if that's what they got to do, they got to do. I don't know all the logistics on that, obviously, but it'll for sure be weird seeing him in a Dallas jersey.
Yeah, well, he's getting paid a lot of money, so I think
Yeah,
he's not too worried about it.
yeah, that's a plus.
And you guys, has Kirill Kaprizov been signed yet? I saw that he was going to get like a $9 million contract, but I don't know if that's like official.
Yeah, I don't know if that's official either. I saw that, but I'm not entirely sure. I'm really hoping it is, just because it
Hmm.
sucked to lose him, but
Yeah,
I don't know.
$9 million. That's awesome to play
That's
hockey.
crazy for one after one rookie season. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
crazy.
pretty awesome. So I wish I was that good enough. That would be pretty cool to make that money playing hockey.
Yeah,
So
me too.
now coming into your first year with the varsity team at Minnetonka, just talk about the process of making it onto the team and what was the biggest adjustment you had to make to high school hockey?
Yeah, going into tryouts, I knew there wasn't a lot of room. We had, I think it was 11 seniors that year. There's one D spot, one forward spot, and that was my goal, all summer was to work towards that D spot. And my teammate, my co-captain now, Grace Sidora, she took that forward spot, and we kind of went into it together. She's a grade younger than me, but we kind of did that together. I couldn't try out till I was a sophomore just because of our coaching change and all of that. But yeah, I was just really determined. And my sister was a senior, and it was just I had to be on that team. I had to play with Lisa, and I was just that much more determined. And then once I made the team, I didn't play right away. I think it was 6 or 7 games on JV, and then played a period of varsity. And that got under my skin, and I was like, this isn't what I want. I want to play as a sophomore. And so I kept working. I kept pushing, and playing under Maggie Nicholson, Rory Gilday, my sister, Hannah Baskin. Those are all big names, and it was a lot of pressure, but at the same time, it pushed me to be a better hockey player. And I really think that my sophomore year, I grew that much more. And when Rory and Maggie went to Slovakia to play in the under 18 team, they were gone for, I think it was 4 games, and then I got pulled up for full time, so I got to play all varsity, which was super exciting, but also super nerve wracking. But yeah, so I played 4 games, full varsity, and that just from there it was crazy. And we went. Luckily, we went 4-0 without them, but then we got back, and then they got back. We had some players out, and then I had to play forward. So then that's when I had never played forward before. I mean, when I was little, but really hadn't. And then, yeah, so then I just got to, learn how to play forward the right way in high school. And I really think that helped my game tremendously. But again, playing under those big names, like with Lacey Martin too, it's just learning from those girls and looking up to them, I think helped my game tremendously. So.
Yeah, no, what'd you learn from those defensemen that you just mentioned, and how has that helped you heading into your senior year? Because Rory Gilday is a very good defenseman to learn from, especially as a sophomore in high school.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. I think like a leadership piece is a huge thing I learned. Just learning from the 2 sets of captains before me, just learning, how to control the team, how to lead a team, and that was huge. Just coming up for this season, but also defensively, just like shoot the puck. That's something that Maggie and Rory do very well, and Hannah and Lisa, for example. Like they all do it so well. And that was, I didn't want to have this, weak shot from the point, this little sophomore, but that, I just had to live up to that. And it really, really helps me grow. So.
And how did playing on JV motivate you that season to make it to the varsity team full time, and just talk about going back and forth from JV to varsity that season?
Yeah, it was hard. I made the team initially, and then coach brought me and was like, "Hey, we're gonna start you at JV." And then I was like, "Oh," it was kind of like, "Oh, what do I do now?" But I just went out there and I played, and girls on JV, they were my age, so I had played with them, so I knew them, which was fun. I got to still skate with them. And yeah, just having the varsity team come watch you before, and like you're on JV, and it's like, oh, you kind of have that feeling. But it just made me work 10 times harder. I'm like, I want to play at 7 o'clock. I don't want to be playing at 5 anymore. So
That's awesome. And under the lights too at 7,
yeah,
there's no feeling like that. So I totally agree
yep.
with you on that. Now, what was the biggest improvement you made from your game that season, and then obviously heading into your senior year now? When you look back at your time with Minnetonka, just talk a little bit more about the development you've made as a
Yeah,
player from your
yeah.
freshman
I
year to
think
now.
just this isn't a physical thing, but my confidence, I think that really helped my game. Again, playing under those big names just helped my confidence grow. And then learning to have fun. I learned just over this past season, when I have fun, when I'm on the ice, I'm playing that much better. When I'm stressed and when I'm mad about a play, and when I'm thinking about past shifts, that's when I start to crumble, when I start to play worse. And just yeah, it's a sport. We're supposed to we're it's we should have fun, and that's just my mentality going into a lot of it. And I mean, not in a way that like take this lightly, or just to have fun, because that's the whole goal in all of it. So those are two big things that I think I've grown on, and just like maturity and leadership, I think that is something I've grown since my sophomore year too.
Yeah, no, confidence is a big part of hockey that I think a lot of people don't realize, because confidence is so easy to lose, but it's so hard to
Yes.
gain, and it's such a big part of the game as well. So that's like an important aspect of the game that I think most players don't realize. So that's
Yeah.
good that you learned how to do that in high school. So when you head into
Mhm.
college, it's something you don't have to really think about too much.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not from Minnesota, so just talk a little bit about the Minnesota high school hockey scene, and what's it like being a player at that in that atmosphere, especially during the state championship. Just because watching the YouTube videos, it's pretty awesome to see just the whole crowd and just the whole scenery that comes with that event.
Yeah, it's crazy. I've gotten the opportunity to play in it my past 2 years, and they're both very different. Yeah. So my sophomore year, it was our first game at the X was packed. We were playing Roseau, and we had a huge student section. It was at 1 o'clock, so everyone wanted to go because everyone wanted to get out of school. And it was crazy, and I could not explain to you. I mean, I can, but the boys, like, they filled that place, and that would be super cool. We don't fill the place, but it's come pretty close, and it's just crazy just to see. I feel like it brings us Minnesotans together. Everybody looks forward to the high school state hockey tournament, especially the boys, but even more the girls now. The state championship my sophomore year, it was Andover and Edina. We had lost to Andover, but that place was almost packed, which is super cool to see just how much women's hockey has grown over the past. I think it's 26 years that girls high school hockey's been a thing. And yeah, it's really undescribable, but at the same time, like, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity that not a lot of people get to play in. So
How do you handle the nerves of playing at an NHL rink? Because that's for me myself. Because it looks like you guys get to be in the locker rooms. Obviously, you're on the benches as well. It seems like it's a lot to take in, especially as a sophomore.
yeah, no, it was, and I walked in there, and it was just whoa, from the beginning. And we got to be in the locker rooms, then we got to be on 45 TV for the semifinals, which was super cool. And I wasn't going out every other shift or every shift, but I did play, and it was crazy, and again, having my sister alongside me just to kind of show me the ropes. She played the year prior at the X, but yeah, it's very hot in there, and
Mhm.
that's something that I've learned over the past 2 years, that inside the X it's very hot, and especially wearing masks last year, that was a struggle, just going into a super hot rink. And then the boards are super bouncy too. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but you have to adjust. It's for sure a different rink, and then it's quiet. You know, like, I'm a very loud person on the ice. I like to yell, I like to shout, and it's even harder when it's a super quiet rink when there's not fans in there because of COVID last year. So that was a huge adjustment too. But again, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. So
Yeah, no, I feel like a lot of those NHL rinks have bouncy boards because when the hockey's championship is played at the TD Garden, that's like one of the things that the analysts always say is just how lively the boards are. So it's
Yes,
just
very.
crazy. I feel like it's a NHL rink thing just because there's so much events that are happening at that place that
Oh,
have
right.
to make it.
Yeah, and I think there's something on it where they want to keep the play moving and they want it to
Mhm.
be good or something. I don't know. I think that they're designed to be bouncier just so players can get the puck off the boards easier.
Now, one thing about the state tournament that I found interesting, and it's a little bit different from the girls' side, from the boys' side, is how the boys have the hockey hair team. And I think one girl did win it a few years ago, Carly
Yep.
Bieniek. But I
Yep.
just want to ask you, can you be on the hockey hair team and reference this podcast? Just do a hair flip for college hockey talk.
I'll think about it. We got to make it to state first, but I'll for
Hmm.
sure think about it.
Well, if that does happen, you have to do it, and you got to shout us out on that,
Yeah.
please. That'll be good publicity for the podcast as well.
Yes, for sure.
Awesome. So we'll be looking for that if that happens. So I just had to mention that to you just because I found
Yeah.
it odd that it's mostly guys hockey players that win that all hockey hair team. So I feel like it would be
Yeah.
cool for yourself to be with some of those names.
Yeah.
Now, you're obviously going to be a senior this year, and looking at your team, it seems like there's going to be a lot of new faces. You were mentioning some of the defensemen. All of those defensemen have graduated by now, and then also your goaltender, Bryn Dulac, won't be playing for the team this year. So what's it going to be like having a lot of new faces on that D cord this year?
Yeah, we're gonna miss them for sure, but this year I think is gonna be like no other. I think we have a lot of girls coming in, and the younger girls, we have a lot of talent, and if this is the year to win it, we're gonna do it. And I think we can. I think we have all the ammo and all the talent to do it. But yeah, for sure, like you said, well, losing Bryn is it's gonna be a tough one, but we have a really good senior goaltender named Sophia Johnson, and I've grown up. I played with her for 5 years now. She's my class, and she's lights out too. So it'll be different, for sure with new faces, but we didn't lose a lot of forwards, so
Hmm.
like we lost two, so it'll be fun.
Yeah, no, and goalie, I feel like it's the toughest position to play just because you have to deal with the crowd noise a little more than the players have to.
Oh, for sure.
Is Sophie used to that? I'm just curious.
Yeah, she plays really well under pressure. That's something that is crazy about her. She was on my Final 54 team this summer, and she's on my Elite League team right now, and she just plays so well under pressure, and she's so calm. And in our state championship and U15s, my freshman year, she played lights out. It was 0-0 in double overtime. We lost in double overtime, but she keeps us in a lot of games. So
What type of leadership do you want to bring as a senior? Are you more of a vocal leader or lead by example type of player?
I'm definitely a vocal leader. I'm going to hold everyone accountable. This again, like I said, like I want to win a state championship, and I believe this is the team to do it. Um, it's vocal leadership, and you're just making sure the whole team is staying positive, and we're including people. Inclusion is a huge thing. We're one big team, we're one big family, and that's just a huge part. It's just staying positive on the bench in the locker room, and just keep the ball moving, and just win every game.
Well, speaking of being a senior, I know this is a bit off topic, but how has your school year gone so far, and what senior activity are you looking forward to the most? I'm curious because I never really got to do any of mine because I'm a 2020 grad, so it all got canceled.
Okay. Yeah. This is my fourth day of school today, so it's been fun so far. We've gotten to do a lot of things, and football games is one thing that I love to go to. I love getting loud and having a lot of school spirit, and just being at the football games. I think they're so fun, and it was crazy. Our first football game was last week, and the stands were packed, and it was just so cool to see after not having it last year, and me being a freshman and sophomore, my first 2 years, kind of being not knowing what it's like being a senior, and then just kind of getting thrown in the mix this year. But yeah, looking forward to homecoming and things, dances like that. We did senior sunrise this morning, which was super fun. But yeah, just all the senior activities that we get to do, and just all of them. We're looking forward to it.
Nice. Yeah, now what's the student section like at Minnetonka? What's the best chant for the football team?
Oh gosh, our motto is do the right thing, represent us well. So we don't get too aggressive with it, but just Tonka Tonka, stuff like that. I don't know. I don't really think we have a best one, but we like
Hmm.
to go bananas. That's a big one.
I heard from Minnetonka that you guys wear the overalls at the football games. What's
Yep.
that all about? Like the stripes?
Yeah. Yes, we have overalls. They are blue and white striped, and that's, not a lot of schools do it. I realize now that not a lot of schools do it, but yeah, that's one thing. All seniors that are in the stands, mostly all the girls, and then some guys wear them too. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. I don't know
yeah,
if I could pull off those overalls though, so I don't know if I would be wearing it, but I think most people probably could.
yeah, they're definitely not the best fashion choice, but they're super fun. So
That's awesome. Well, hopefully you enjoy those senior events. That sounds super fun. So, especially the homecoming, since it seems like that's the one you're looking forward to the most.
yeah, that's in a couple weeks, and it'll be fun. Just again getting our senior class together. I feel like just over the past 2 weeks that we've bonded. Like, it's weird. We didn't get much bonding time last year, and we've really come together as a class, and yeah, it'll be fun.
Now, last year, let's talk a little bit about that. Your team had to deal with a lot of challenges because of the pandemic.
Mhm.
What was the key for yourself for dealing with all those challenges, whether it was in the classroom or on the rink?
Yeah, to start, like in the classroom, I'm a very social person. I love being around my friends, and it was hard at the beginning of the school year for sure, not being in person. But like I get all my work done, and that's good, I guess. But yeah, just not being in school was really hard. And then during the season, everybody started to get the opportunity to go back to school, and us hockey girls didn't, and the boys too. But we decided to stay home just because we didn't want to say, oh, you get a phone call, you have to be out for 2 weeks. That would really suck for the hockey season. So I couldn't, everyone got to go back and got to do the hybrid stuff, and then eventually go back full time, and I didn't get to do that, which was really really hard. But on the hockey side of everything, our home games were much different, to be honest with you. We still got to get there an hour and a half beforehand. We were wearing masks, obviously, but it wasn't much different. And our away games were a little bit different. At Benilde, for example, we had to, get dressed beforehand. We couldn't ride buses. Those are all big things that we missed out on, and that the seniors especially missed out on, which I know was tough for them. But not taking anything for granted was a huge thing that was said in our locker room. It could get shut down any second, and we got the opportunity to have a state tournament where the fall sports didn't, and just yeah, with when it comes to school or hockey, not taking anything for granted was a huge learning point from last year.
Yeah, no, and obviously fans were allowed at a minimum capacity. How'd you adjust to not having as many fans in the stadium as you're used to?
Yeah, to be honest, we don't get a whole ton of fans. It's girls hockey, and we don't. But at the same time, it still felt pretty normal. Our section final against Holy Family was pretty packed. I don't know how that happened, but it
Mhm.
was Bagel was almost full. So, but for the state tournament, yeah, that one was a little bit different. There was only parents were allowed, and it was very very quiet, like I said before. And this year it was span over across the time of 2 weeks. So we played, I think it was Saturday, and then we didn't play till the next Thursday. So it was kind of weird with timing with all that, because they mixed in the boys with that too.
Mhm.
So yeah, very different.
Was it weird being a home dresser? Because I did that when I was like a squirt, but I feel like it's kind of weird to do it as a high schooler.
Yeah, no, we started way back in the summer last year, and just home dressing or getting dressed in the parking lot, which for girls is just a little bit questionable. But and especially when it got to winter time, it's like, we're in, 0 degrees, -10-degree weather, and it's like, why are we getting dressed outside?
Mhm.
We get sick from that. But it was weird to be home dressing, but we just got used to it. And for state too, we couldn't get dressed at the X. We had to get dressed at Pagel and then ride the bus, which I feel like was very weird and very different. So
Did you have the chance to drive like in your gear at all or no?
yeah, that was to Benilde. We all got ready at Pagel together in the locker room, and then we took, like, I think it was like 5 or 6 cars, and I packed, I think it was 4 freshmen in the back of my car, legally. But but it was fun. Yeah, just driving my gear, not the safest, but you have to do what you have to do.
Yeah, I think you look pretty cool though with all your practice stuff on probably
Yeah.
or with game gear on. I think that's just gotta be weird though. Just like it's probably super hot in there with all that stuff, and you have to
Oh yeah,
adjust your seat
super
definitely.
hot. And then with your breezers on, you're sitting up higher, and
Mhm.
it's weird.
Well, also, and then another thing is, you were saying like how you had to dress in the parking lot. How'd you deal with the winter time? Because Massachusetts, I think people don't give us enough credit how cold it can get in the wintertime. We get a ton of
Yeah.
blizzards occasionally, but I know in Minnesota it's a whole new level. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, this winter we started where we stopped getting dressed in the locker room. I think it was, I don't know, by November, a little bit in December. Maybe not. I don't entirely remember, but yeah, I mean, it gets like it's 50 degrees out right now. It like gets cold really early, so it's
Ooh.
like for a league, like in October we were getting dressed outside, and it's nobody's fault, but it's like, come on,
Hmm.
we're teenage girls getting dressed outside. It's I don't know. It sucked, but we got through it.
It's 50 degrees in September right now there.
I think it's like 56.
Oh,
That's what it was
wow.
today. Maybe 60. Maybe
It's
we got to 60.
75 right now, so that's why I think that's very, very different. So yeah, no, it gets cold up here, but you people don't realize
Yeah.
how colder it is in Minnesota. Because I had a music teacher who was from Minnesota, and he's like, "You guys have
Yeah.
no idea how different it is. It snows all the time."
No, it snows all the time. And just thinking back to June, the last couple weeks of school, we had 90 degrees one day and then maybe like 60 the next. It goes up and down. Like
Hmm.
I think tomorrow's supposed to be like 75. So it's crazy. And we'll get maybe like, well, we'll probably get a 70-degree weather in the beginning of October.
Yeah,
And then the
no,
next day it'll be 50 degrees. It's all over the place, and then there's lots of construction going on right now too. So that adds into all of it. But
yeah, no. Construction, at least here
yeah,
in New England, has been horrible. They're just every time you go on the highway, it's just they're always working on something. I don't know
crazy.
what it is. It just
It's
I've been
crazy.
like 8 years old and they're still doing the same project. So I don't know when they're
Yep.
gonna finish it.
Yeah, for sure.
No, talk about last season for a little bit. Your team made it all the way to the state semifinals against your biggest rival, Edina. And however, you didn't win the state championship. You lost in that semifinal game. So, what was the biggest thing you learned from last season?
Yeah, I think again, like I said earlier, just like learning how positivity and how big that is on the bench and how far it can take a team. I think that you can have all the talent in the world, but when it comes down to team chemistry, if you don't have that, you know, you don't have anything. And that was just huge last year. Just keeping everyone positive and keeping the team chemistry going. I think that's something that I learned tremendously. And over the past couple of years, I don't know what it is. It's just been a thing. We play Edina lightly, and it's like we have a great section final against Holy Family, and then I feel like me included, we're kind of scared of Edina, and that's just been a thing growing up, and it needs to stop, honestly. Like we need to win a state championship,
Mhm.
but yeah, and just learning that we can't be scared of Edina anymore.
No, don't be scared of them. They're just players like yourself. So that's
Yep.
how you have to think about.
Yeah.
Is Edina like the team that you feel like once you beat them, you feel like you're going to be super confident potentially going to that championship game that you have the capability of
Yeah, I
winning?
think so. I think that Andover's up there too. They're a great program, and Edina is obviously a fantastic program. And but yeah, if we do beat them, that's gonna be huge. So that's the team that we would want to beat in the state championship.
Yeah, I know. I heard they're like your biggest rival. That's what your sister was telling me. And like, I was like, yeah, I know. I think the jerseys for Edina are cool. And then she's just like, nope, like the blue from Minnetonka is always
Nope.
going to be the best jersey. So it's pretty crazy how big of a rival they are. Edina is to everyone, not just Minnetonka though. Because I was talking to a player from Edina. He said like, yeah, we're like one of the most hated schools in the state.
Yeah. That's something that a lot of people from out of state don't know, that in every sport, no one likes Edina. It's because they're good.
Hmm.
I have a lot of friends from Edina, and I love them all to death. But we don't like you as a team. It's just because they're that good, and
Yeah.
that's why people don't like them. But yeah, Edina has a lot of rivals against them. Like there are rivals, but then I'd say another one would be EP. EP is a big one that over the past couple of years there's huge section opponent. And then recently Holy Family, we beat them in the section final last year, and they didn't graduate one senior, so they played us pretty well. So it'll be fun to play them again this year, hopefully in sections.
Yeah, just talk a little bit about that semifinal game though against Edina and what happened because it seems like offensively, your team couldn't find what worked, and then
Mhm.
Edina they had like a week off. It looked like. Do you think that gave them some sort of advantage heading into that
Yeah,
game?
Yeah, I think for sure, like in order, like if we were to win that game, I think we needed to have scored first. I think that, just that first goal was just kind of like, oh, like we were hyping ourselves up all week. We're like, we got this, like we can do this, and we could have, and it's just, I feel like that first goal just that was just like a punch to the gut, and I feel like we had a good battle here and there, but overall, that was obviously not our best hockey. And that's something that, hurts looking back, is like we so could have played better than that. But, it is what it is, and you learn from it. So.
Now, how are you going to use that game heading into next year? And what are your goals and expectations for next year, your final year, the last dance, as they might call it, for your hockey career?
Yeah, it's for sure motivation. Losing in the semifinals 2 years in a row is pissing me off right now, to be honest with you. And it's just like, I don't want to lose in semifinals anymore. I want to get to a state championship and I want to win. And again, I'm keep saying it, but positivity is just a huge thing for us in our locker room. And playing as a family. And like I said, I think we have all the talent in the world, so I think we can do it.
That's awesome. Well, I totally believe that your team can do it. We don't get the state tournament here on the East Coast, but I'll definitely be following it on social media and rooting for you.
Thank you.
Now, let's change the subject a little bit and not talk about that semifinal game that's making you upset. And let's do a good memory. You recently committed to Sacred Heart for college hockey. I just want to first off congratulate you on that. That's super awesome accomplishment.
Thank you.
Just talk a little bit about the recruitment process to Sacred Heart. What was that like, especially during a pandemic where you couldn't really talk to schools for quite some time?
Yeah, it was tough. My at the end of my sophomore year, that was when COVID started. COVID started March of my sophomore year, and it was hard. It was June 13th. That's when coaches could start contacting me, and then I was talking to quite a few schools, and then everything was still shut down. Coaches couldn't watch me. A lot of coaches were like, "We're not going to make any decisions based on film," and I'm like, you know what? Like, I don't blame you. I don't think I would either. And it was hard. I couldn't go look at schools, and they weren't really making any decisions. And then with the fifth year being available to those seniors, and then to the seniors afterwards, it just like pushed everything back. And especially like towards the end of my season this year, a lot of schools are wanting like the PG, the post grad year, playing U19's year and then coming in the year after. And that's something that I wasn't really wanting to do. I want to get to school and I want to study. Like there's a really slim chance of me playing pro hockey, so it's like, but I still want to. I still want to play Division I hockey. And then it was in the spring, I reached out to Sacred Heart, and at first Coach O'Malley was like, like we'll look at you for sure. We're gonna give everybody the same opportunity. So I sent some film over, and he called me right before national camp and was like, we don't really have room for you. It's just the room, and they had, I think it was like 30 girls on the roster, and and like the PG thing was an option, but I didn't know entirely if I wanted to do that. And then after camp, a couple of days after camp, that's when I went out to Boston, and I was touring. I toured 4 schools, and I spent 6 hours on Sacred Heart's campus, and I just fell in love with it. Like for me and my family, a big thing was seeing the schools, and that's a huge thing. I can get hurt anytime, and I have to love the school. I have to like where I am, and again, like I can get hurt, hockey can end, and I just need to love where I am, and they need to have what I want to study. There was a couple of schools that were really interested, like hockey wise, but it's just when they don't have the things I want to study, that's huge. And school's a pretty big part of it.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, like I said, I just fell in love with the campus. It's gorgeous, and the coaches too are just amazing, and I'm so excited to play for them.
So do you have to do a post-grad year before you go to Sacred Heart?
Yeah, I'm jumping right in, thankfully. Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's where I was going to get at. So after camp, when I visited the school, I met Coach O'Malley in person, and they had one of their players that decided to graduate early. So then they had a room. So then Coach Victoria, she's the assistant coach, the D coach. She watched me in Beantown, and then we talked for a little bit after, and then that was that. It was just I can play both forward and D, and that they like the versatility. So yeah.
That's awesome. And I'm glad it all worked out for you. What made you want to go to the East Coast versus schools in the Central? Because I know that's where your sister goes. So I was just curious what
Mhm.
made you want to go out East.
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I just kind of want to get out of here. I want to experience something different. There's a lot more options out east for sure. I think that, in order to play, for the Gophers or for Wisconsin, you get committed pretty early. And I just needed to focus elsewhere. And, like schools like Mankato and Bemidji, they're just so close to home. And like St. Thomas too, it's just, I want to experience something different. And I think that East Coast is, I don't know, every time I go out there, I'm just like this is where I want to be, you know?
Mm.
So, yeah. And again, like I love the campus, and there's so many girls on the team that are from Minnesota that have already been so welcoming, and I'm just so excited.
Yeah, and also some of your former teammates with Minnetonka go to East Coast schools. So did
Mhm.
that help by your recruitment process? Did they say anything about what it's like being in New England and just Connecticut or Massachusetts or something like that?
Yeah, for sure. Like Lacey's a big one. Just she loves Boston, and that's just like really comforting to me that she loves where she is. And like she was before her senior season, she was so excited to get to Boston, and like just knowing that she loved it, it was comforting. And Rory and Bryn are at Cornell, and I know they're having a blast skating with their team and stuff. So it is. And then they're not that far away. They're only like 2 hours or so. So.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, no, I like going to UConn hockey games, and they obviously play Sacred Heart occasionally.
Yeah.
So you might be seeing me in the stands in a couple of years. So now, for college hockey fans that have never seen you play before, just describe your game to them, and what do you hope to bring to Sacred Heart when you get there as a freshman?
Yeah, like I said, I think my versatility is something that's huge. I play mostly D, but I got thrown in there at forward a lot this year for sections in state, which was super fun. I didn't realize how much I love forward until I played it. But yeah, versatility I think is a huge one. And then I'm loud. I talk a lot. On the ice, that's just my voice is something that I'm kind of raspy because I had a couple games this weekend, but yeah, my voice is something that if it's gone, I struggle. I talk a lot and I call for the puck. I direct. That's a huge part of my game, and then also my leadership I think is very huge. Being the captain this year, I'm just so excited. But just taking all the girls under my wing is something I love doing. I coach a U14 team actually, and it's just it's crazy how much that developed my game, but also just being with the younger girls and then just learning from the older girls. I'll be a freshman at SHU, so just yeah, learning.
And how do you plan to use your voice as a freshman? Because obviously you want to, use it properly, but you also don't want to skip
Right,
over some of the senior
right.
leaders that have been on the team for 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, and just like knowing my place. That was something that was big my sophomore year at Minnetonka. Grace and I were the only two new players, and Soph too. But um, but yeah, just like knowing your place, knowing when the right time, to speak is. There's some things you just don't say in the locker room as a freshman or as a sophomore, and that playing at a young age at Minnetonka really has helped me, prepare for college and know what to say and what not to say in the locker room. So.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I'm surprised it took me this long to mention her during the podcast, but your sister was on College Hockey Talk a few months ago, and when I asked
Yeah,
her about what it was like to be your sibling and play with you during high school, she gave some awesome response. I posted it on the Instagram because I thought it was awesome. So I
yeah.
have to ask you, what's it like having an older sibling, and just talk about playing with your older sister Lisa throughout your high school career, and just how she's helped you throughout your hockey development.
Yeah, for sure. It was an adjustment at first. I think that, like I said, I was determined to make that team because it was my sister's senior season and I never played with her before. But we're really different players. I think that like playing on the same team, I learned so much from her, and it was like it was the memories I'll cherish forever. Not a lot of people get to experience playing with their siblings or with their sisters, and I got to do everything with her. I got to go to or not championship, state tournament with her, and just making those memories together. And then it was super cool, for my parents just to have both of us in the same spot. But yeah, learning from her and learning, what to do, what not to do, and just having me under her wing. And yeah, like she was the one, who told me, don't say this or say this, just things like that not a lot of people get to have. Um, but yeah, just and then with her at St. Scholastica, she's having a blast up there, and she had a really awesome season last year. And just watching her just like skyrocket her game too. Playing college hockey is super cool, and I'm a proud sister.
That's awesome. And was it cool to have the O LaRoche on your jersey your sophomore year, not just the LaRoche?
Yes, that was super fun. We got in the locker room, we were like, because they were all hanging up, and we're like, this is like, no one else has this on their jersey, and I think she was kind of like, oh, at first because it was her senior year, we got new jerseys, and she had an L in front of it, but it for sure hurt when I had to take it off.
Yeah, I know she was telling me how it was so weird not seeing you at her first practice in college and how much she missed you. Was it the same for yourself going into your junior year, not
100%.
not seeing her?
Yeah, 100%. I'm like even in the summer when we were like out with SCP and she wasn't out there, I was just like, this is weird, you know. I just played all season with her, and like we spent every day that winter together, you know, just playing and grinding, and you know, it was for sure weird and an adjustment afterwards. So
And how did she help you throughout your recruiting process with college? Because I know she was kind of mentioning it to me during an interview how you were looking at schools. Did she help you at all, or did she kind of just leave you on your own and try to figure it out on your own? Because you don't want to step in
yeah,
too much.
yeah, she's just like she kept me motivated, you know. She's like, you're going D1, you're going D1, and that's something, you know, that, you know, and anybody can say, right? But she just kept me motivated, and it's like she wanted it so bad for me that it just kept me motivated. And just seeing her love where she is made me want to, you know, make the right choice and like love where I want to go. So, and that was a huge thing. So
And she's probably listening to this right now, so I just have to ask: do you have any message for Lisa? If what would you say to her right now?
oh gosh, um I call her every day, so there's not much. But yeah, just stay focused. You know, have an awesome season. And she just went through a coaching change, which I know was super hard on her. Yeah, and she was really close with her head coach, so that's been hard for her over the past month or so. But you know, she knows what to do. She plays awesome, and just that I love her, and that I'm a proud sister.
Awesome. Well, that's a good way to end off the hockey segment of the podcast. Let's dive into the non-hockey segment or ask you some non-hockey questions. My first question to you is: if you could do anything for a day, what would it be and why?
Oh gosh, I would definitely go surfing. You know, wake surfing is something that I love doing. My teammate Lauren Mack, she invited me on her boat quite a bit this summer, and I got to learn how to wake surf, which has been super fun. But yeah, just hang out with friends and family. That's just really chill and really basic and boring, I guess, but just something I love doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, I'll probably do something similar. I've never wake surfed, but I've always wanted to wind surf. I don't know if
Yeah,
it's the same thing or not, but that's something I've always wanted to try. I'll probably just go. My ideal day would just go to a hockey game. That's probably a
yeah.
basic answer, but it'd be cool
Honestly, that's an awesome choice.
to hang out with friends. So now, if you could have lunch with anyone in the world, who would it be and why?
You know, I was thinking about this. You know, this might be really basic too, but I would love to have lunch with Morgan Wallen. He's my favorite singer, and just I don't know. That's a weird answer, but that's it.
What song would you want him to play to you?
All of them. Is that possible?
It'll be a long lunch, but I think it is possible.
It'll be a very long lunch.
I would say if I think he's a great artist myself, probably more surprised than me. I don't know if that's one of my favorite songs by him. It was on his new album, and I feel like that song
Yeah,
doesn't get enough recognition. So that's probably my favorite one so far.
yeah, that one's awesome. I love that one.
Now let's talk a little bit about your teammates. Who's the funniest teammate you have at Minnetonka?
Oh gosh, I have a lot. You know, Kendra Distad is one that, you know, she's funny, but she doesn't try to be. You know, she says some things, and it's just like, is that really just coming out of your mouth? But it's hilarious. You know, she has a great personality, and it's so much fun being around her. And then another one is, you know, Grace Sedura. She's just classic, funny.
Now, who has the best style on the team besides yourself? Obviously,
Oh
that
gosh.
you're number one, but who's number two on the team?
Number two, that would probably be Alex Alvarez.
Now, I guess you kind of answered this question before, but what music do you like to listen to? What fires you up before a game?
Yeah, I love country music, but that's mostly in the summer, before games. You know, I know the typical like rap, but I really like Power by Kanye. That's a big one.
Donda or Certified Lover Boy? That's a big debate going on in my group chat right now.
Not Donda. I haven't listened to that much, so
I think there's some good songs in each album. I think they're both equally great. I think people don't like. I
yeah,
feel like people always want to say like one's better than the other. Well, I feel like they're both just good albums in my opinions.
yeah. Honestly,
Now back to some hockey questions. Now my first question to you is: what advice would you give a younger player who's trying to pursue a Division I college hockey career? I know there's probably a lot of them on your team right now. So what advice would you give them?
mm. Yeah. You know, I think that take your time. You know, there's people like me who don't commit till a month before their senior year, and you don't have to make your decision as a freshman or as a sophomore. I feel like that was a lot of pressure back. You know, like when I was a freshman and sophomore, it's like all everybody around me is committing to college, and it's like I don't even know, like, do I want to stay close to home? Do I want to go out east? But it's getting closer to like my senior year, and it's like I have a pretty good grasp on on what I'm doing, and if it's not coming right away after your sophomore year, it's like, don't give up, you still have 2 more years, and but also like email is a huge thing, and reaching out to schools that you're interested in is huge. I think that the stereotype here in Minnesota is that coaches and schools are going to come to you, which really it's, they want to see that you're interested in their schools. And that's something that I've learned, that if I want to go play out east, I need to contact those schools. I need to ask them if they want to come watch me. I mean, around here, like, the coach of the Gophers, like, yes, of course, if you're an amazing hockey player, they're going to come watch you. But schools out east, they don't even know your name. And just getting on their radar at a young age is something that I think is huge, and that isn't said quite a lot. But yeah, just introducing yourself to coaches, and just learning how to talk to them and how to talk to adults is another huge thing. And just have confidence in yourself and play your game. Everyone's playing their best when they're playing their game and they're having fun. So.
Yeah, I think they changed the recruiting rules where like you can once you're a junior in high school, you can start talking to teams like officially. I heard that
Yep.
somewhere. Is that true? Because I know some
It's
players in Minnesota can
yeah.
do that.
It's the rule change right before my sophomore year. So it's right after your sophomore year. So it's like June 13th. I don't know the exact date, but then that's when college coaches can start talking to you and having conversations with you. So.
So like this recruiting cycle is the class of 2023. Then next summer will be the class of 2024. Is that how it works?
This summer will be 2024. So
Oh yeah.
last summer was 23s. But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, that's cool. No, I was just curious. I don't know too much about the recruiting process, so I was
yeah,
just curious about how it works.
yeah.
Now,
There's plenty of girls. There's plenty of girls on my team that right now that probably would be committed if it wasn't for the rules. So.
any future commits for 2023? Like, are there people looking at schools right now? I know you don't have to
Yeah,
say
I
it.
know for sure. No, I know. Like I said, a lot of these girls that aren't committed. Grace Sidura, Lindsay Avar is a huge one. Kendra Dista, Lauren Goldsworthy, Lauren Mack. She's going to be a freshman. She played as an eighth grader last year, but Lauren Carl, they're Lily Schaefer. They're all girls that definitely can play college hockey. And then Sophia Johnson too, my goalie. She's a senior, still looking to play, but I know, she has a lights out season. She'll be where she wants to. So.
Now, what should be done to help grow women's hockey, in your opinion? I'm curious to hear your perspective on it because it seems like it's grown a little bit, at least in the high school hockey scene in Minnesota. But how should it? What would you do to help grow it more nationally here in the U.S.?
Yeah, I think that's kind of a tough question, but I think that over the past year, I think they've done a little bit better, but just kind of broadcasting it and advertising it a little bit more. I think that people don't realize how good the women's game actually is, and especially at the national level. Like the women's national tournaments and stuff. And I can't remember what tournament was this winter, but I think it was the under 20 team, or it was the World Championships. That's what it was. The boys got to play and the girls didn't. It was kind of like why do you make all like these accommodations for the men and the women don't get to do it? But yeah, just advertising it more, and NHL Network. I know they've been showing some games which are super cool. But just keep on that, and then another big thing is with the state tournament. The boys, they get 45 TV for all their games, and the girls don't. And I get the boys make more money. I get all of that. But, it'd be cool to have us on 45 TV for our quarterfinals too. So.
Yeah, I know there was a lot of conversation about that because there's an outdoor game that's happening, and I know a lot of Minnesota's like high schools are playing in it, and like only
Yeah,
one girls game I think is being broadcast. So that's like
yeah,
another thing I was reading about.
that's Hockey Day Minnesota. That's last year they didn't have it, but 2 years ago it was in Minneapolis, and the Blake girls played against I can't remember, Minneapolis. That's what it was. Blake and Minneapolis played against each other, and they didn't get broadcasted. But the boys Blake team and Blaine played, and they got to get broadcasted. So it's like all the publicity and stuff. And I understand, it's obviously men's sports make more than women's sports, and that's a huge part of it. But Hockey Day Minnesota this year, it's Edina and Andover. Like, those are two really good programs, and I would want to watch that on TV. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that should be fun. It's also the Winter Classics in Minnesota next.
Yep.
Is that where it's going to be played, in the Twin Stadium ballpark?
It is, yes. It's going to be played at the Twin Stadium. But Hockey Day Minnesota is in Mankato this year, so they're two
Oh, okay.
different things. But yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, that should be a fun Winter Classic. I just saw the Wild release their jersey, so it looks pretty cool. So I'm excited because they didn't have one last year.
Yeah. Their jerseys are kind of cool. They're kind of interesting, but it'll be fun to see them play.
I think the Blues jerseys are better. I hate to break it to you. I know you're probably a Wild fan, but I thought they looked nicer than the Wild jerseys, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one. That's the the wild ones are not awful, but they're interesting with the brown breezer covers and or breezers and the gloves for sure. But yes, I'm a Wild fan, but it's really hard to be a Minnesota sports fan at the moment.
Yeah, I know, especially with the tough loss with the Vikings. But hey, you never know. I think the Twins have potential. They have some good young players coming. I know I was working for a baseball team, and one of our players got drafted by the Twins, so maybe you'll see him one
Oh,
day.
really?
So
That's
I
awesome.
I hope
Yeah.
Minnesota sports gets better because I think I don't know, especially for hockey. I think it's interesting how the NHL team hasn't been as successful as it should be in the past like 15 years
Right, and
with the
and
state of
we're the state
hockey.
of hockey, and we've never won a Stanley Cup, so that's hard. And then the Vikings too. I've just like learned to watch football and learn to love football over the past couple years, and it's like you know going when I started like learning and understanding football. My dad's like, don't be a Vikings fan, like you can't be a Vikings fan, and it's like now every single Sunday I'm watching the Vikings, and it's just it's
Disappointment. Yeah.
disappointment. I was yelling at the TV a little bit yesterday.
I could. I was watching the Patriots game yesterday. Big Pats guy, a little bit different than the
Yeah,
Vikings. You have a little more happiness when you're a Patriots fan. It feels like than some other teams, especially in the past
yep,
10 years. But with Tom Brady
yeah,
leaving, it's been a little different. But I'm excited for Mac Jones for this upcoming season, and he looked good,
yeah,
even though they lost. So we'll see what
good.
happens with that. Well, do you have any shout outs before the interview ends? Just any of your family members, teammates, friends, anyone in particular?
Yeah, for sure. My parents, they've done so much for me. It's incredible, and putting up with my crabbiness after hockey is a big thing. And then my dad has had such a huge part in my development that I can't thank him enough for pushing me at a young age. And then my siblings too, Trent and Lisa. They they might not love me at times or not like me at times, but you know they're very supportive too. And then friends are are very supportive, and I love them to death. But then also I have a friend out east in Massachusetts. Her name's Sophie Hensley. She's going to play college hockey at Harvard. So
Oh wow.
yeah, she I met her at national camp, and we were best friends instantly. So
Awesome. Well, shout out to you, Olivia, for coming on the podcast. It really means a lot to me. I really appreciate your time. Enjoy your senior year. I enjoy those events as well because when they're taken away from you, you really learn to appreciate them. But I look forward to watching you play with Sacred Heart in the next year. And just an unbiased opinion, but you're already my favorite freshman from the class of 2026. So I don't know if they sell those jerseys for the what's it called since the NIL rules been in place, but if they do, I'll totally buy a Olivia LaRoche Sacred Heart jersey. So I just want to let you know that.
awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.